Hello folks, in the last video we talked about various ways to access our AWS resources. We have been using web console method of accessing resources. We also explored about AWS command line interface. Just a quick glimpse though, we saw that there are some various software development kits for various languages, and we also saw that there is a service itself called CloudFormation, where by using templates you can create AWS resources and modify and work with that. Now in this video we are going to explore more about AWS command line interface tool, AWS CLI tool. So using this AWS CLI tool, you can do almost whatever you can do using web console. CLI tool will be preferred by people who mostly use command line terminals, people working with Unix and all. But having said that, there is enough documentation available for AWS CLI that anybody can start using command line interface once they have a bit of experience. Now AWS CLI tool you can install on your Windows machine as well, and you can start using it on PowerShell. You can use your MacBook terminal to work with command line interface. And if you have got Unix, then you can use a shell to run those command line tool. So in this section, I'm going to use a Unix machine which I've launched on AWS itself. So again, to repeat, it doesn't need to be on the EC2 instance. It could be anywhere, even your simple Windows machine. But I'm going to use, this machine is running Amazon Linux as an operating system. Remember when we launched the EC2 instance, we selected Amazon Linux AMI. Now, good thing about that AMI is that you have got a lot of things pre-installed. So AWS is one of them. Having said that, if you want to install AWS CLI, if it is on Windows, then you have to write just pip install AWS CLI if you are on Windows PowerShell. The prerequisites are that you need to have Python already installed, and you have got Python pip module installed, which is basically an installer. If you are on some other machine, then maybe you can use something like yum install AWS CLI. So installing AWS CLI is pretty easy. If you are using Amazon Linux, you don't even have to install it. It's already there and you can configure it. Now, if AWS is installed, you can check that out by just running AWS command. And here, if you can see this kind of help, then that means at least the tool is installed. So here the users, you see, you get AWS, and then you need to give commands, subcommands, options, parameters. This will make sense when we run few sample commands. Having said that, if I run something command like, let me clear the screen. So if I now want to use the command, for example, AWS S3 ls. This is a command to find out what are the buckets available in my S3. If I run this, you see the error message here. It says unable to locate credentials. You can configure credentials by running AWS configure. So the thing is, we didn't configure the AWS tool as of now. We need to tell that what is the AWS account, who am I, who is the user who is running this command, is he properly authorized or not. All this information the tool need to connect to a particular AWS account and connect as a particular IAM user. Now remember from our IAM user video, while creating the IAM user, we had two options. We can either give it programmatic access or we can give console-based access. Now there we talked about that for using things like command line interface, you need to have a programmatic access. What do you get by using programmatic access? You get two extra credentials. It's called access key and secret access key. So as a part of AWS configure, you need to provide that access key and secret access key of the IAM user. AWS CLI doesn't support root credentials. In fact, root credentials get deleted as soon as you create it. So let's go to our IAM module and see first the IAM user. So creating an IAM user with programmatic access is the prerequisite of using AWS CLI tool. So you can go to IAM module. Here we have got multiple users. Let's quickly create an IAM user. So I've already created an IAM user. This is the one. So AWS CLI user is the user. If you want, I can let's create a user from scratch, and let's emphasize on what are the main points. So here I'm going to write AWS CLI admin. So I've given the username as AWS CLI admin, and we need to give it programmatic access. That's very, very important. Management console access is optional, though I'm going to click that as well. I can assign a password, and I don't require password reset. Next is permission. And here I'm going to attach existing policies, and I'm going to give it admin access. Now you can go ahead and choose appropriate policy based on what users should do and what users should not do. Here, since I'm going to explore other commands as well, so I'm going to give it administrator access. If it looks everything okay, I'm going to create user. Now, as soon as I create a user, I can download the CSV for future use, but I can see the access key ID and secret access key ID here itself. Now, this is what we need to configure our AWS tool, and that is why it is essential that we have an IAM user with programmatic access. If it is non-programmatic access, then we won't get the access key ID and secret access key. So I'll just copy this and use it while configuring. So I'll just run the command AWS configure as suggested from the previous error message. So it is asking for AWS access key. So I'm pasting what we copied from console. And then it is asking for secret access key. I would copy that too and put it here. Now it is asking for my default region name. Default region name, I need to give it in a proper format. So I'm using Mumbai as a default region. So I need to give AP, Asia Pacific, South-1. This is my region code. The default output format, I can leave it as none. I'm just pressing enter here. So my AWS tool has been configured. It is ready to be used. Remember, when I'm using it like this, I'm accessing my AWS resources as AWS CLI admin user. Remember the name of this user. I'm now accessing it as AWS CLI admin. Now, depending on what permission this guy has, I would be able to do those operations on the services. Now, since we have given administrator access, so I would be able to do almost everything on this AWS account. So you can notice one thing, that we never gave the AWS account name. We just needed to give access key and secret access key. So access key and secret access key combination also tells that what would be the account and who would be the IAM user. So now if I want to run the command like AWS S3 ls, what I want to do is I want to see all the buckets that exist in my S3 service. So I just need to hit the command like this, and here you go. It is showing me all my buckets which are there in my account. So all these are various buckets that I have. So there are so many options available to be used with this command. Normal format is you will write AWS, then you will write the service name, and then you need to run the command based on what you want to do. And then you need to give options to customize your command and in fact to configure your AWS services. So what are all the commands available? You can find it out by using AWS, the service name, and a question mark. This will give you all the options that are available with that service. To know what are the commands available, you can write AWS EC2 and say help. This will give you a synopsis about what all are the available commands. These are the various commands available for EC2 service. So this doesn't look very user friendly, because then we also need to know that what are all the commands available. And that is why there is a good tool which we can connect this AWS to. So I will connect this AWS to AWS Completer. I just need to know where exactly my AWS Completer has been installed. So it's in user bin AWS Completer. So what we really want is that the command should be auto-completed. So for that, we need to connect this AWS Completer with our AWS tool. We do it by writing command like complete -C and then this path on which AWS Completer has been installed, and then giving AWS tool. So if you do this, what we really gain by this is that now we can write commands like AWS, and then what is available. Just after hitting double tap, it will show me all the possibilities. So here, since there are so many possibilities, it is asking that can I show all the possibilities that you can write after AWS. So if I say yes, it will basically give me all the services name. So after AWS, I can write any of this service name. This will be based on what I want to do. So for example, if I want to say, again, just do some operation on S3 buckets. So I will write AWS. And then for S3, we have got S3 as an option, AWS S3. And again, I don't know what is the next set of commands available. So I'll just hit double. It will show me all the commands which are available. So CP for copying a file or object into S3 bucket, MB is for creating the bucket, you've got LS for listing the bucket, RM for removing the object, and so on. So based on what I want to do, I can do it here. So just simple, if you want to see list the bucket, do AWS S3 LS and it will show you all the buckets. So basically combining AWS completer is a very, very useful way to use AWS because it will show you what all are the commands and options available. So not only that, if you do AWS S3 LS and give double hyphen and then double tab, it will also show you what are the options available with AWS S3 LS. So one option here is, you can see recursive here. So if I put double hyphen and just write REC and hit tab, it will automatically complete my option name, which is very, very cool. So if I hit it like this now, it will show me all the buckets. But if I give a bucket name, say if I give jig bucket 2 and do this, this will also show me all the files which are available inside it. So there is an IAM folder, there is index.html, then in the log folder you have got cloudcomputing.png and so many other files in temp folder. So this is how my jig bucket 2 looks like. Just clear the screen. Having said that, you can do these things for any service that you want. So how to know what commands to run? One of the best sources is AWS CLI Documentation. Just search for AWS CLI Documentation and the first link itself you'll get would be from AWS. Here you can go to directly documentation. Go to HTML. This will give you some more information about CLI, how to do AWS configure and all. For each command line, you can go to CLI reference. And here you'll see that how to use command and what commands are available for each service. This documentation is quite extensive and for almost every command you'll get an example. So for example, you want to see that how to run commands with EC2 instance. Then you just click on EC2 and now here you got all these available commands. For launching an instance, there is something called run instances. So here you go. This is run instances. Click on it and it will tell you everything about run instances. You can directly go to examples and see how to run a AWS CLI command to launch an instance. So you see here, you will find a pattern here, AWS EC2, which is service, run instances is the command, and rest of these are the options which will help you configure your EC2 instance. So for example, what would be the AMI ID that is given by _image ID, and then the MI ID. You need to know which MI ID you need to give. How many instances? Count 1. What instance type to use? C3.large. You can change all these things based on your requirement. What is the key name? My key pair, and what was the security group associated? My security group, which you need to create before you launch this EC2 instance. So there would be command for even creating a security group under EC2 itself. Once you run this kind of command, you'll get the output in JSON format, especially in the run instances. So whatever is the property of the new EC2 instance, that will be given in form of JSON syntax. So other than this, we have got multiple commands like describe instances. So one of the command is AWS EC2 and describe what is exact command name. So I'll just hit double and it will show me all the available options. So there are so many, in fact, options that start with describe. So I'll just do it. And if I'm talking about EC2 instances, then it must be something. Okay, so here you go. I got describe instances. So I can just complete it. And here you go. So you see, it is actually giving me all the information about my existing EC2 instances with their state also given there, but it's giving it in JSON format, which is not very much readable. I can modify the output by giving something like double hyphen output equal to table, and it will show everything in a tabular format. Let's run that again. So here you go. You get all the information about instances in my account in a tabular format. Device name, state, network interface, mostly all the information about each of my EC2 instance. So this looks better. So the output, etc., depends on do you want to use it now or do you want to use in a JSON syntax. You can customize it based on output. So go and explore the CLI documentation and you'll find multiple such options. You can in fact use the output which is in JSON format and run your jQueries to find out a specific information. In fact, from here itself, if suppose I want to get an IP address, so I can run this command and I can pipe and use my grep commands to search for IP addresses. So here you go. I've got in fact 3 instances. So these IP addresses are with respect to those instances. So this is how basically you use command line interface. Again, the AWS CLI documentation is a very good source for information about how to use command line. But of course, before using command line interface, you need to know all about the service so that you can understand that what does each option means. Having said that, command line interface is something that organizations will prefer. Once your knowledge about AWS gets matured, you yourself might prefer the command line interface. But we'll continue using a web console for our videos because that gives you a good visual interface. So that's all we have in this video. If you have any doubt, leave a comment in the discussion and we'll get back to you. So see you soon in the next video. Thank you for watching.